It's now time to proceed on to Business World Business Class. The graceful hostess here is Ms. Swetha Ramesh. Her guest of honor is the CEO of Cybermedia Technologies Inc. His name, the handsome-looking Mr. Ramesh Raj. Let's hear out this dialogue.
Hi, I'm Swetha Ramesh, host of Business World Business Class, where I interview entrepreneurs from the DC metro area. Today I have with me here CEO of Cybermedia Technologies, Mr. Raj Ramesh. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me here, Swetha.
So, how long have you been in the United States?
I've been here since 1989.
Okay, all right. So, what year did you start your company?
I started my company in 1996.
Oh, okay. All right. So, what were some of the things that really made you want to become an entrepreneur, take that path?
Yeah, growing up in India, I watched my dad. He was an entrepreneur. He was owner of a small business for most of his life. And then later on, he went to work as a mechanical engineer in Iraq and Kuwait. And also, growing up in grade school, I was reading Time magazine, and information technology was the thing. And they were talking about how consultants can write their own ticket. So that kind of inspired and motivated me to become a computer consultant. So later on when I came here, that was at the back of my mind, and I followed my dreams.
Mm-hmm. So seeing your dad work in the shop, what kind of values and things do you carry to the United States, and what values translated into you starting your own company and being where you are today?
Well, watching my dad at work, having a small business is the hardest thing in the world, because you have to do a lot of things.
Yeah.
And it's long hours, and there's always things. He was putting out fires, literally, because he was a mechanical engineer. He was building things in the foundry, and so I knew it was not a very easy thing. So hard work was one thing that I took away from watching him at work. Yeah.
So even though it was a lot of hard work, you were still attracted to this idea of being an entrepreneur. Why was that?
Well, I have always known that as a small business owner, as a entrepreneur, you can use your business as a platform to impact lives of people and to make positive changes within your community and at society at large. So that has motivated and inspired me. And I've always looked at making a very lasting impact on society.
Mm-hmm. So were your parents very, traditional, or did they really support your entrepreneurial journey? Like, what kind of family backing did you have for this dream?
It was a mixed reaction because my dad was down the entrepreneurial path, mm-hmm. So he understood what I was trying to do. But my mom was, well, your dad did that. Do you really want to go down that path? So
yeah.
It was like 50-50. But she also understood that what it meant a lot of hard work and mm-hmm. perseverance, and to build a small business.
Yeah, I mean, entrepreneurship is about risk taking, right? You have to take that risk in order for things to pay off.
Exactly. So I was kind of mentally prepared. I knew I was going to do it at some point in my life. So, mm-hmm. so later on, when I came over here, when I got my first opportunity, I just jumped at it.
So, how did you start your company? What was that first opportunity for you in starting Cybermedia Technologies?
So, after studying here, I got my first job in the mm-hmm. DC area, and I had interviewed with a few firms, because I was visiting my brother who was doing his PhD at George Mason University.
Okay.
And I was called in for an interview after several months, and they just said, "Oh, you have the job."
Oh,
so
good.
That was my first job. I worked for the company. I worked for the vice president of the company as a research analyst, and she made me do research into systems and technologies, and she also found out that I could write very well. So I started writing proposals for federal contracting, and that's how I kind of learned the business. Then later on I went to work for another company for 2 years, mm-hmm. Actually implementing large system. And after 4 years of hard work, I said, oh, I know this business. I can just do this on my own.
Yeah, you got it. You can do it on your own.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but I took up my very first consulting engagement was for 1 month, and my brother was like, "Are you sure? What are you going to do after 1 month?" I said, "No, I mean, this seems like a good fit. I want to do it." So the 1 month became 1 year, and 1 year became 2 years, and so that just got me started in building my own business.
Okay. So what would you consider to be your big break, in your company, your turning point that got you to where you are now, got you to this successful point?
I would say we persevered for several years. We were a 10-person company for a long time, but some of my experience in the early years, learning the federal business, how to win federal contracts, really helped me. And when we started winning a contract as a prime contractor, that kind of gave us, we were able to showcase that and win more work. So I would consider that as my first big break, to actually win that first contract as a prime contractor.
Yeah, it's your first step in starting to create a name for yourself.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Versus working under larger, bigger businesses and kind of being buried. Not that it's a bad thing. A lot of people start. That's how we move up the food chain. But to actually win that first prime contract, that was my biggest break.
Okay. So how important was your networking? How important were the connections for you in your business, and just in business in general? How important are really connections in starting a business?
I would say that's the most important thing, because at the end of the day, business is about who you know versus what you know. And when the opportunity comes, being very prepared to actually grab it and run with it. So it's the most important ingredient for success, I would say.
So do you think that your identity as a first-generation Indian immigrant has any way contributed to your success?
I would say, to a large extent, because I think growing up in India, I learned a lot of values, and watching my dad run his business, I learned a lot of values that it's not an easy thing to do. Hard work, perseverance, and it's also a journey. It's the staying power. I would like to say that the entrepreneurial journey is like running a marathon. You can get injured, but then you can fall down literally, and you want to get up and start running and keep going. So I think all those things are ingrained into my upbringing, and I want to thank my parents for that.
So what particular challenges, specifically did you face as a first-generation Indian immigrant coming here and getting involved in the business world?
The very first challenge is getting to know how business is done in America, right? We work in the business field, but what does it take to actually, as a small business, to go and say, hey, I can do this job for you. I can do it very well. I can do it better than anybody else. I can do it in a way that saves you money and makes a difference to the customers you serve. And if you're my end customer, we help your mission. So that is a very big part of being in business, and I think that's key to success.
So you were talking about finding ways to serve the customer. Do you think finding your specific niche is really important?
Absolutely, and a lot of small businesses struggle to find an identity. And when you are trying to build a small business, you tend to grab anything and everything that's thrown at you. But even within those opportunities, if you try to stay focused, for example, early on we said we're going to be building linkages to various business systems, and we also, because of our training background, we said we're going to focus on training systems and technologies. So to this date, we have stayed close to our knitting, and that has fueled growth for us.
So growing up in India, you have this unique perspective that not everybody gets to have, going into the business world. What kind of lessons or experiences did you learn from there that really translated into the workplace today?
I would say being very good at what you do, because it's a very valuable thing to offer as a small business. Having the integrity and ethics, and to conduct your business in a way that will make yourself proud, and also your customers and your families, and the community and society at large. And I like to say, call that corporate citizenry. To be very good corporate citizen is very important.
To really make a social impact.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, speaking of social impact, I mean, first-generation Indian entrepreneurs are the fastest rising group of entrepreneurs in the nation. So keeping that in mind, what are some of the political, economic, social impacts that has in the future for Americans?
Absolutely. You just mentioned that a lot of first-generation immigrants are being very successful, and statistics back that. And I think what is happening is they're building the foundation of something that's very important for the Indian community. So, our children can build on that foundation. We are kind of passing the torch. So they're going to have a big impact socially, politically. Even now you see a lot of young people, not only in government but also in the corporate world, holding very high positions, and that's going to rise, and you're going to see a lot of that. And I think that is very important for our children that are growing up watching us and learning from us.
So keeping the importance of social impact in mind, what is your plan for the future of Cybermedia Technologies? What is your vision moving forward?
Two things are very important to me: global peace and educational opportunities for every child and for minorities like women. We look at strife and war and all over the world, and a lot of people are caught up in that environment, and it's not any fault of theirs. So I would say global peace begins with security, and security begins at home. So we have to keep our homeland safe, and we have to export the same principles of safety across the globe. Our values of democracy, freedom, and liberty are values that we have to I would say export and promote across the world, so that there is less strife, less war. And also Cybermedia Technologies is a premier provider of distance learning, e-learning, and integrating business, modernizing business systems for our customers. So it is not an accident that today we are serving Homeland Security, the United States Army, and it is my goal, or I'm a cog in the wheel, but at least to promote these ideas and to ensure that children and minorities, women have access to educational opportunities all around the globe.
All right, that's fantastic. It's a great idea.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being on the show. I'm Swetha Ramesh, host of Business World Business Class. Tune in the same time next month, same channel. Thank you for watching.